You're probably fine. Not amazing. Not perfect. But fine. Reasonably good at most of the things you'd rate yourself on if I asked. That feeling, the quiet confidence that you'd know if you were actually bad at something, that feeling is exactly what a man named MacArthur Wheeler had standing in a bank lobby in 1995, his face covered in lemon juice. He believed it would make him invisible to security cameras. He tested it first, took a Polaroid of himself wearing the juice. The photo came out blank. Probably a bad shot, nothing more. To him, that blank photo was proof. He robbed 2 banks that day, in daylight, looking directly at the cameras. Police arrested him hours later, and when they showed him the footage, he wasn't angry. He was confused. But I wore the juice, he said. Here's the part that should bother you. A psychologist named David Dunning heard about Wheeler's case and got stuck on one question. Was Wheeler too incompetent to rob a bank, or was he also too incompetent to know that he was too incompetent to rob a bank? Dunning and a graduate student, Dunning-Kruger, tested it properly in 1999. They gave people tests on grammar, logic, and humor. Then they asked everyone to guess their own score and to guess how they'd ranked against the room. The people who scored in the bottom 12th percentile guessed they'd beaten 2 out of every 3 people there. They weren't lying. They weren't being modest or arrogant on purpose. The same skill required to get the answer right is the skill required to notice you got it wrong. Lose the first one, and the second one goes with it. You can't use a broken ruler to measure how bent it is. Right now, some part of you is doing something specific. Some part of you just thought, sure, but that's not me. I'd know. Notice that thought. Because that exact reflex, that quiet, automatic reassurance, is the whole mechanism working on you in real time. So let's actually try to get you out of it. First instinct, test yourself. Look inward, honestly, and ask if you're good at something. That's precisely what Wheeler did with his Polaroid. He ran a test. It told him what he wanted to hear. He believed it completely. He never once asked whether the thing giving him the answer, his own judgment, could be trusted in the first place. Here's the same test, wearing a more ordinary face. Ask a room of drivers if they're better than average. Study after study finds the same thing. Around 93% say yes. 93% cannot be above the middle. That's not an opinion. That's what average means. Every one of those drivers ran an honest self-check. Every one of them felt certain. That feeling of being right is generated by the exact tool you're trying to evaluate. It can't be your evidence. It was never your evidence. Second instinct, fine. Don't trust yourself. Ask other people instead. Good instinct. Fails anyway. Because you choose who to ask. You decide, using the same judgment currently under suspicion, whose opinion actually counts. And the research shows something uncomfortable here too. People who score low on a skill aren't just bad at judging themselves, they're also bad at recognizing skill in other people, which means they tend to dismiss the exact people who could have corrected them and trust the ones who simply sound confident. So the crowd doesn't rescue you. You just built yourself a crowd that agrees. It gets stranger in places you wouldn't expect. In that same 1999 study, the people worst at identifying what was actually funny were the most convinced they had excellent taste. Judging a joke and understanding a joke run on the same wiring. Break the wiring and it breaks in both directions simultaneously. You become bad at the thing, and you become the last person capable of noticing. Now here's the part that flips the whole idea inside out. Look at the top of that same study, not the bottom. The highest scorers, around the 86th percentile, did the opposite. They underestimated themselves. Their reasoning, the test felt easy to them, so they assumed it must have felt easy for everyone. Nothing special. Real skill hands you a much clearer view of exactly how much you still don't know. That view is humbling. It quietly lowers your confidence instead of raising it, which means certainty was never a reliable signal in the first place. Not down at the bottom, where the gaps are invisible, and not up at the top either, where genuine knowledge shows you nothing but more gaps. You just lost your last remaining instrument. And it doesn't stay contained inside your own head. Put two people in a disagreement. Let one speak with total certainty. Let the other add careful, honest qualifications. A room sides with the confident one almost every time, which means the person with the least accurate picture of their own ability is very often the most persuasive person in the room. They get believed, they get the microphone, sometimes they get the promotion. Meanwhile, the person who actually understands the subject, hedging honestly because they can see how complicated it really is, comes across as weak, uncertain, less competent. Somewhere right now, someone confidently wrong is shaping something that touches your life. And the very thing making them wrong is the thing making them sound right. Here's the uncomfortable turn. From inside your own head, being wrong feels exactly the same as being right, certain, reasonable, obvious, which means you have no way from in here to be completely sure the confidently wrong person in this story isn't you. So look at where that leaves you. You can't trust the self-test. The tester is the thing on trial. You can't trust the feeling of certainty. Wheeler had that too. You can't fully trust the crowd. You're the one choosing who's in it. Almost every exit is closed, except one. If any part of this made you uneasy, if some small voice went, "Wait, what if that's me?" that discomfort is the whole answer. Wheeler never heard that voice. The lowest scorers in that study never heard it. That's the actual reason they got stuck exactly where they were. Worrying that you might be the fool is something a fool never does. That worry was never a weakness. It's the only alarm in the building that still works. Learn something new? Hit that like button, share with others, tap subscribe, and watch this video next.